Hello, everyone, and thank you so much for being here. I'm so excited tonight to talk to you about Camping 101 so that you can get outside and enjoy campfires and stargazing and hiking while you're out there, even maybe some stand-up paddleboarding if you're near water, camp cooking, and so much more. But before I get started, I just want to let you know if you have any questions or comments, you can put them in the chat over here. I add your questions and comments here so that you can find the chat box. So go ahead and let me know in the chat box if you've ever been camping before. So have you guys been camping before? Just go ahead and put yes or no in the chat box, or maybe you've been camping, but it's been a while, and so you're here for a refresher. So let me see, just kind of gauge, where you guys are at today, and it's completely fine if you've never been and you're just curious. So looks like we have some yeses in here. Yes, but a really long time ago, from Dana and Erica. And then we got a couple of beginners, some beginners coming up. Brett, yes. Or sorry, Brian. Brian, yes. Mercy. Okay, so we have quite a few people who've been camping already. So we're going to go ahead and get started. Now, I hope today... Okay, so for today, everybody is welcome to this session. If you're a new camper, for sure, we're going to go through everything. If you're an experienced camper, this will still be good for you today if you want a refresher, or if you just want to, get some of the tips from our experiences camping, or if you're just camping curious, like you're not 100% sure if you want to go camping yet or not, but you just kind of want to find out what it's all about, then you are in the right place. And I hope today is a little bit different of an experience for you than you've had in the past. One, I'm going to share some of my secrets and stories to camping. And two, you get to know me just a little bit better before we jump into the woods and go camping together, which hopefully you will want to do by the end of this presentation. Okay, so we have a lot to cover today, so I want to make sure that you guys grab a pen and paper in case anything's new to you and you want to go ahead and write it down, because if anything resonates with you today, what I'm going to ask you to do is take action on the items that resonate with you, okay? So we want to make sure that that you're getting inspired, you're learning, and that at the end of this presentation, you're ready to go camping. So go ahead and put in the chat box if you're willing to commit to take action on the things that you resonate with today. Just go ahead and put in the chat box yes or action, and let me know that you're on board to pay attention, get some new nuggets of information, and take action on whatever sits with you today. Cool. I see actions coming through. Committed. Awesome. Yes. Woohoo. Thank you guys so much for engaging. That helps me on this side because I'm sitting here not seeing anybody's faces. So I love that you guys are active in the chat with me today. Okay. And we like to reward action takers. So what we're going to do, because you've already taken action and showed up today for the webinar. So we're going to reward that action by sending you out a list of our gear recommendations so that you don't waste your money, because we know that gear can be expensive and there's lots of stuff out there that you might as well just skip right over and spend your money on the good stuff. We're going to email that to you, so don't worry about having to do anything about it right now. We will get that to you after the presentation. So I want you guys focused right now. And so you will get that later. And if you stay to the end of the presentation, we've got even more good stuff because we are going to show you or tell you how you can go camping with us. All right, so stay tuned for that. Okay. Now I know, like, one of the big reasons that I wanted to do this camping 101 camp like a pro is because a lot of times camping can start to feel really overwhelming. There's so much that goes into it, including reserving your camp spots. How do you know where to go? How do you make sure you're going to get a spot even? They do fill up very quickly in the good places that you actually want to go camping and the good times of the year. The good times of the year being right now is the perfect time to be camping in Texas. Also worrying about how to set up a tent or which tents to get. What gear do you need? There's so much gear, so much gear. This is me preparing for I think it was like a 12 or 15 person camping trip. So basically I laid out all of the gear, organized it into bins, and, there's a lot that can go into it. So we're going to get into that. We're going to get into the gear and what are you going to eat? Like, food is actually one of the biggest reasons that people are hesitant to go camping. And it always surprises me because I love cooking and I do a lot of cooking on the camping trip. So this one's an easy one for me, but I get it. Like, how are you going to cook outside? It's different. You have to have things set up a little bit differently, but we're going to go through that as well. And then, are you able to start and maintain a fire? Some people like to just sit back and enjoy the fire, but this particular camping trip that we were on, it was right after Harvey, and all of the firewood in every city around Texas, like between Houston and where we were camping for months, the wood was just so wet, like we could not get fires started. It was very difficult. I think just with all of the rain and flooding that we got, just the wood was just waterlogged or something. But so maintaining a fire, and if you're going to use a fire for cooking or just if it gets cold at night. But camping is meant to be relaxing and it's meant to be fun and it's meant to be, just a release from your stressful life. So what we're going to do today is help you figure out how to enjoy those sunsets and the stargazing, how you can be comfortable, and how you can camp like a pro, even if it's your first time. And you can be camping as early as next weekend. So let's get into it. All right. This is me. I'm just kidding. I wish this was me. But this was similar kind of to a situation that I was in, or what I imagined what I was going to be in originally when I set up my tent next to this gorgeous view that was overlooking a valley. I was in Colorado. It was one of the first times I went camping by myself, and I picked up a tent. I picked up a cheap tent at a used gear store, and it was a no-name tent. I think I got it for maybe $20 or something like that. So I set up my tent. I'm so excited. I've got this gorgeous view in Colorado. And then, I enjoyed the evening, get in the tent, lay down and go to sleep. And then the wind picks up. So I'm laying there and I'm just like, oh man. And I'm thinking, I'm so glad that this tent had stakes, because the first two tents that I borrowed from people did not have stakes included in it. And that's a different adventure when you don't have stakes to hold your tent down. So I'm thinking, okay, I'm so glad that I have stakes and okay, everything's set up. But then the wind starts picking up even more and even more. So I actually go outside of my tent, grab the biggest rocks I can find, bring them inside the tent with me, and I'm putting them in all the different corners. And I'm laying there And the wind is so strong that the poles are literally hitting me in the head. And I'm just like, oh my gosh, I'm going to blow off the side of this mountain. So here I am thinking I'm going to just wake up in the morning to this gorgeous view. I've got this great spot, which I did. But now I'm stressing, that I'm in this $20 tent that's already used for God knows how long. And, I'm wondering, is it even going to hold up? Well, fast forward to the morning. I made it. Obviously, I'm still here. I didn't blow off the side of the mountain, but I was camping by myself. And, if something had happened, I was like, well, I guess nobody would know what happened to me. I would just be gone. So that was kind of when I was like, okay, I do enjoy camping by myself, but sometimes it's just a lot more fun to camp with fun people around you. So camping can be fun alone, but camping with other people, making sure that you're safe, and stuff is just, now I sit around the campfire and I laugh about that story with friends. And yeah. So check the weather. There's lots of lessons to learn because there's so many tips out there from people who have been camping, experienced camping before, for you to learn, check the weather, check the wind, make sure you have all the gear. And we're going to go through some of that stuff today. Yeah, I think I just said this, like little things make a big difference. And that tent did hold up, right? Okay. It might've been a little bit scary, when the poles were hitting me in the head, but the poles didn't break. The stake stayed in the ground and it was good. I didn't know that because I didn't know what kind of gear I had at that point in time. But the point is that you don't have to spend a fortune to get the good gear, to have what you need to be prepared for these situations when they come up. Okay, before we get any kind of gear, you want to know what kind of camping you're interested in, because you don't want to get one tent that's really made to do a specific type of camping and then realize that you want to do something completely different. And then you have to start all over with buying gear. So we're going to start with the different types of camping. First is glamping and RVing. I kind of put these in together. Now, this is like this extreme, like when you see those yurts, you pretty much have an actual bed inside the yurts, or these A-frames or sheltered areas, refrigerators, air conditioning a lot of times. So this is going to cost you a lot more money because you're going to either be paying for the location, you're paying for the amenities, you're paying for everything. Okay, so we've got the camping and RVing. Now, this bottom right picture, this is a picture of my RV. For those of you who don't know, I live full-time in my RV. I love it, and I'm going to do a separate training on RVing. I don't really call RVing camping. Some people do. A lot of people call RVing camping. And to me, camping means like you're in a tent. All right. So this glamping stuff, it's fun. But when I stay in a yurt or something like that, for me, I'm more like rough hoteling it in a yurt more than I am like fancy camping, if that makes sense to you guys. Okay. So be on the lookout if you're interested in just hearing about RV camping. I'm going to commit to you guys to get that one on the calendar as well. Okay, the next type of camping is the pretty much exact opposite of that, which is backpacking. And this is where you are literally carrying everything on your back and going to these primitive areas. So you're not going to have very many amenities at all. You're pretty much, you find a spot and set up whatever you were able to carry with you. You set up and put on your back. But this can still be pricey because in order to get the gear that's light enough to carry, The lighter the gear, typically the more expensive the gear is. Okay. We have a lot of other backpacking videos and information. So we're not going to go too much into backpacking today either, but we definitely have those resources available as well. Okay. Then we have tent camping, which is basically now the gear is getting cheaper because you can have bigger gear, you can have heavier gear, you can have any kind of amenities, like you can get sites that are more primitive still and are away from the hustle and bustle of the crowds, or you can get busy, sites in busier parks. And there's a bigger variety of things that you can do with tent camping. And the last one is car camping. Now, car camping, some people use the term car camping as in you're literally sleeping in your car, which is perfectly fine. People do that. I have done that. I did a road trip where the group was meeting in Grand Teton and Yellowstone for a week, and I took a week and drove up there. Everybody else flew. We spent a week in the national parks, and then I took a week and drove back, and I slept in my car the whole way on the drive. So you can sleep in your car, but I also use the term car camping to mean literally you just bring whatever you can fit in your car, and you're bringing your coffee pot. You're bringing your air mattress, you're bringing, just pretty your kayaks, your bikes, like everything that fits in that car, you are bringing. You can sleep in a tent, you can sleep in a hammock tent, or you can sleep in your car. So for me, car camping is just a more luxurious form of tent camping. Okay. Oh, yes. And they have the tents that attach to the cars, which, you can put on the top of the car, on a roof rack, or some of them, if you have an SUV, you can pop up the back of the SUV and the tent. Actually, this tent on the top right, actually, I have a picture on the next page. This tent actually is one of the ones that fits on the back of the SUV. So basically where the opening is, you just back your car up to it, and now your car and your tent are connected. So I wanted to show you this because this is also what I consider kind of like car camping, but she's in a tent, right? So this is one of our long-term members who, when we are doing a relaxing camping trip, this was at Lake Somerville, when we're doing a relaxing camping trip, then she likes to bring her bigger tent. This is a 6-person tent, set up a little table, have her air mattress. And this was in December. So she has an electric blanket to help keep her warm. So she didn't need, the real expensive sleeping bag that keeps you warm, because she had the electric blanket and then just a regular blanket. And then everything organized into bins. The bin system is fantastic for camping. And it's just fun, like you can. And then on the other side of the window, the other window there was the lake and the sunset. So you'll see the picture. You've already saw it, but I'll point it out to you again when it comes up in the slide deck again. That was her view for the weekend. So it's still relaxing, but you have more niceties with you. Okay, so which type of camper are you, or do you want to be? Now, keep in mind, you can be all of these. So let me know in the chat, which type of camper are you looking to be right now? Or if you're already camp, do you backpack? Do you tent camp? Do you want to get into RVing? Just let me know in the chat where you are. I've done all of these. Like I've said, I live full-time in the RV. I've gone backpacking. We just had a group come back from Havasu Falls in the Grand Canyon, and I did that in 2008. So I've been back, I kind of started out a little bit more real primitive stuff. And that's how a lot of people start out, real primitive, because you gotta, it takes time to accumulate some of this gear, right? So you can start out just backpacking and tent camping. And, backpacking can be cheap if you're able to carry weight. So, all right. So in the comments, we have car camping and tent camping and backpacking. So it looks like people are, doing a combination of things already. We've got somebody who's got all three: car, tent, backpacking. I have to get back into shape for backpacking too. The advantage of backpacking is you can get to places that you can't get to with a car. And one of the first slides that I had that beautiful sunset, and that was in Big Bend on South Rim. You have to backpack to do that, because otherwise you can't, once the sun goes down, you can't make it back down the mountain unless you're going at night, but you might as well just backpack and spend the night up there. So each one has pros and cons to it. So, okay, great. Let's see. Oh yeah. So now this is me. This is all of that gear that you saw all over the floor in my house. Then this is it all packed up, packed up and ready to go on the camping trip. So bring in the kayaks and the stand-up paddle boards and tents and everything. So I am a gearhead, gear junkie, whatever you want to call it. I love it. So I love to be able to host camping trips now and bring the gear for you guys so that you can see what you like and just have things to play with before you invest in it. Okay, so speaking of investing, let's talk about tents, because that's the primary thing that you need to go camping. All right, so these are basically like the 3 different areas of tents that you're going to choose from. The very beginner tent, you can get a decent tent now for $40 brand new. But do me a favor, go to Academy and get the Magellan tent. This is the picture of the 4-person Magellan tent that you can get at Academy. Don't get the Walmart brand, that Ozark Trail. I have not had good luck with that brand in tents. It might be good for something else. Even the pop-up tents, that Ozark Trail brand for me has broken down really fast. And so I don't recommend that brand. But I do recommend the Magellan $40 tent that's at Academy. Now, what you want to note, this is a good starter tent, but it is not wind rated. Okay, so if you're going to be setting up your tent in a cool spot like that first story that I was telling you about, I would not bring this tent. Okay, yeah, I don't think that the poles would last with any amount of strong wind. So if you're going to be someplace where you can't easily get into your car or like leave the area, then don't bring a beginner tent. Okay, so beginner tents are for beginner camping trips where you have access to other things if you need it. Now, if you know that you like camping, this middle tent and you want to do tent camping, car camping, glamping kind of things, this middle tent, this Coleman dark room tent is perfect. This is my number 1 tent that I recommend for people to get, especially with this little patio out on the front. You got their little screened in patio. The dark room technology on this Coleman tent is amazing. And with us being in Texas, it is totally worth it. What it does is it's like a blackout curtains, and it repels the heat. I know it's black, but it repels the heat so that your tent stays cooler when it starts getting warmer outside. And when the sun's hitting it, it repels it. I have started adding these tents to the BCO HTX Loner Gear equipment that we let our members use when we're camping. These tents are amazing. So I definitely recommend this, the Coleman darkroom technology. Now this is the 4-person tent. Okay, when they say 4-person, they don't mean 4 people can sleep in there. They have a picture that shows 4 people, and you are like head to toe, head to toe, head to toe. So a 4-person tent is good for tent camping, is good for 2 people with your gear, or if you're little, but if you want to be comfortable, get the 4-person tent. They do make the 2 or 3-person tent. And then they also make the 6 to 8-person tents, which you can get if you want to do more of a glamping situation. So the picture that I showed you with the table inside, that was a 6-person tent, I believe. Now, one thing that you want to keep in mind before you decide if you want a 4-person tent or a 6 or 8-person tent is that depending on where you're going camping, can you guys hear the bird in the background? Just let me know in the comment section so that I could put my mind to ease. I'm at my friend's house and she has a bird and it's chirping. All right. So this, some of the campsites, when you reserve the campsites, they can, they might make you be on the tent pad. Okay. All right, cool. Just, it's like we're camping. We've got a bird in the background, right? So I did it on purpose so that you can imagine you're outside with nature. I should have just went with it. All right, cool. All right. So back to the tent. I'm sorry. Okay. So sometimes at some parks, when you get a campsite, they have designated tent spots and you have to put your tent in that spot. So if you're going with other people, if you're sharing that spot with other people, you'd all have to be in that one little spot. So, so everybody's saying they thought it was part of the presentation, the birds. I'm laughing. Okay, cool. So keep that in mind, but also sometimes the actual campsites are really small. Like you only get enough room for like a little bit of things. The other thing you want to keep in mind with the size of the tent is that when you're setting up your tent, you're going to want to look for as flat of a spot as you can so that you're comfortable when you're sleeping. So the bigger the tent is, the harder it's going to be to find a flat spot or like a not rocky spot, and all of that. So just keep that in mind when you're thinking about where, when you start thinking about what size tent, where are you going to be taking this tent, and will it fit? And then if you're backpacking, this is a little 1-person tent that you can get. You want light is better. Like I said, we have other videos that are on backpacking. So for today, basically anything at REI that's made for backpacking will suit your needs, but they tend to be more expensive. Okay. Okay. I'm not going to show you how to set up a tent today because in this format, it wouldn't be very effective, but we do have other videos on how to set up a tent, which I will also talk about how you can get access to those videos at the end. But a couple of things that I wanted to just make sure that some pro tips about setting up a tent is, stake down the tent after you put the poles in. A lot of people want to stake down the tent first and then put the poles in. But what happens is if you try to stake down the tent first, you're either going to stretch it out too much and then you might snap a pole when you're trying to get the pole in, or you can kind of see how the tent right here on the left side is kind of baggy. If you stake it down first, then you might not get that tension that you need, and then you're going to have to restake it. So you might as well kind of put the poles in first, and then stake the tent down. Now, the exception is if it's windy, because if it's windy, it's going to be flying around everywhere. So if it's windy, just haphazardly put one or two stakes in just so that it's not blowing around and you can keep control of it enough for you to be able to get the poles in. And then the second pro tip is when you put the tarp, if you put a tarp underneath the tent, you want to make sure that no piece of the tarp is hanging outside of the rain fly. Because if it is and it rains, then all that tarp is going to do is funnel water under between the tarp and the tent, and then you're going to get wet. So you want to make sure you fold the tarp under and make sure that the tarp is completely under the tent and you can't see any piece of the tarp outside of the rain fly. Okay. Okay. Oh, the other reason that we're not going to talk about it today is because when you go to camping with HTX Outdoors and Bayou City Outdoors, then a lot of times we show you in person, and we also do some camping 101s live where we show you in person how to do it. So members like Andrew went on, he's been on so many of our camping trips. It's ridiculous. And he is the kind of person that loves watching all the videos. So every camping trip, he always had like a new camping tip to share with us. So that was great. So there's always plenty of people around to help you set up your tent to make sure that you're doing it right. Okay. All right, to round out the conversation on gear, basically, this is the bare minimum gear that you need to get started camping. You need a tent, which members can borrow for free. You need a sleeping bag or sheets and blankets, depending on the weather. Most of the time, you can figure out just sheets and blankets from your house without having to buy a sleeping bag. But again, at Academy, the Magellan bag is really good and it's a decent price to get started. And it goes down to 30 degrees, I believe. So that'll be in the gear recommendations document that I send to you guys. A ground pad or like a yoga mat would even do, just some barrier between you and the ground. Just if it's cold, it'll keep you warmer. And if it's warm, it will actually keep you cooler. A pillow. I always forget my pillow. And then I end up having to stuff all my clothes into each other and creating a pillow out of my clothes. So just keep that on your list. Some kind of light source. And if you want to keep your night eyes for stargazing, get a light that is a red light, has a red light. Academy has a really cool one, but it's a stick light. It's not a headlamp, but it has magnets on it. So you can stick it to if you have a metal table or a pop-up tent for shade or something, you can stick it to it and it makes like a nice lantern. And then it's small enough to just use with your hand. So that's pretty cool. Different layers of clothing because the temperature is going to change between daytime and nighttime. For me, a chair is not optional. I put optional here because you technically don't need it. Everything else you do need. But a chair for me is not optional. So I put it in the top part. I like something comfortable. A lot of the campsites will have a park, like a picnic table, but I like to have something with a back if you're going to be there all weekend. And then your food. Everything else is literally optional. So all of these things that we think about with camping, or did I forget something that's not optional? Like your toiletries, of course, like your personal toiletry stuff should be on here too. But did I forget anything else that you guys would think is not optional? Put it in the comment section and let me know. But basically, this is the bare essentials that you need to camp. And I guess if you're sleeping in your car, you don't even really need a tent. You just need space in your car and a place to park. Okay. The best part of camping is what will you eat? Let me know how you guys, where you fall on a scale of 1 to 10. How comfortable are you thinking? How comfortable are you with bringing food on a camping trip? Oh yeah, okay. You guys put a couple of good things in the chat about that I missed on the basics, which is bug spray and sun protection, like sunscreen, and then also some kind of basic first aid kit. Those are two great additions for sure. Okay, on where you stand for bringing food on camping, I got a couple of 7s. I got a 3. I got a 0. Awesome. Okay, there's a variety of people out there with how to bring food. Like I said at the beginning, the food stumps people with camping. So I'm going to spend a little bit of time on food. And I've got a food pyramid. I made it kind of backwards though, because dry food, I wanted to be like a little box, but that's like dry food. Basically, dry food doesn't require any cooking. It's the simplest for you to bring. It doesn't require any refrigeration. So this is going to be things like packets of tuna or chicken, those chicken packets, or nuts, or why am I drawing a blank in my head right now? Fruit, or you can bring fruits, stuff like that. So, or dried fruits even. Someone put into the chat, that your food confidence varies based on the type of camping that you're doing. That makes sense a lot for sure. And part of it is because of equipment, which is what we're going to talk about here. And as far as backpacking, we do have some other resources about food for backpacking. So that's more in the backpacking videos. Okay, so dry food, but you get it, dry food. And actually, I do have I have a food a camping food guide that has a bunch of examples of different types of food that you can bring based on all of these different levels. So one thing that I like is the borracho beans from HEB. And I eat them cold, so I would consider that the dry food, because I'll just open that can of beans and I can eat them out of the can. Or you can cook them when we get to the later stage, when we're when we're building a fire, So any kind of bars, nutritional bars, or just anything really that doesn't require cooking. Okay, then you can step it up and you can bring a cooler. Now this opens up your options, because now you can bring yogurt, you can make overnight oats, and throw them into the cooler, and then they're ready to go. You can have sandwiches. Sandwiches are super easy to do. So now it's anything that you can eat straight out of the cooler that doesn't require cooking. In the basics of cooking, you can do something as simple as a 1-burner stove. So Coleman makes a great 1-burner stove that uses the propane tanks. You can get the small green propane tanks, or if you don't want to have to throw those away, you can get an adapter that will go to a regular size propane tank. So you have some options with that. And then if you want to up it a little bit more, I spelled burners wrong, but you can get a 2-burner stove or a 3-burner stove that is tall, so you don't have to bend over or use a separate table. Or you can get one of those Blackstones. I'm not a Blackstone person. I don't really get the Blackstones, but I'm a cast iron person. I'm a Dutch oven person. So I don't know if you're either or what, but those are your propane options. And, oh yes, when you upgrade to this new level, then you can also have coffee in the morning. But if you have a cooler, you can do those cold coffee drinks. I do those a lot on camping trips just because they're easy, and I actually like cold coffee anyway. I get, like, you can get the Starbucks or the high brew is from Texas. If you haven't had it, their canned coffee is really good, and you can just throw those in the cooler and call it a day. Okay. Then you can upgrade to a barbecue grill or a smoker. Some people bring these with them, and then depending on which kind of campsite that you get, you can sometimes they have a grill there where you can use charcoal and wood and cook your food at the campsite. One thing you do need to watch out for if you do plan to use a grill of any kind is watching out for burn bans. So sometimes there's a burn ban and you can't have any kind of fire, charcoal or wood, but they will sometimes still allow you to have propane if there's a burn ban. So you just need to check the websites before you go. Okay. And then kind of the cream of the crop, I think, is the Dutch oven cooking or the campfire cooking, where you're on top of the campfire that you built for the night. So now you need to have fire making skills, and you can make famous brownies. We have Dutch oven brownies that are infamous throughout the clubs. So you can really start making some camping friends when you pull out the Dutch oven cooking. Okay. Now, when you're also, the other thing to consider if you're thinking about any kind of food that needs to be cooked is the weather, because if it's storming, if it ends up storming when you need to be cooking, are you going to be able to cook? Because you're not going to be able to bring those things inside your tent. Okay. Please don't try. You will melt your tents. We don't want anybody catching on fire. Plus the gases and stuff, right? You have to be outside for these things. So just keep weather in mind also when you're planning your meals, and maybe have some food that doesn't require cooking just as a backup. Okay, so which type of cooking do you guys aspire to? These are all from camping trips that I've done. This is all food that I've made on different camping trips. We've got the Dutch oven cooking over the campfire. When you do the brownies, you have the charcoal and you put the charcoal on top of the lid and also on the bottom. Fried rice, as simple as sandwiches and salad. The charcuterie board of deli meat, and deli cheeses. Very fancy, very fancy. My famous burgers that are stuffed with bacon and cheese and jalapenos. And then the smoker, I brought that smoker on the Eclipse trip that we went on, and I grilled chicken and then smoked a bunch of pork butts and made pulled pork. So that was like a 14-hour pulled pork that we will talk about again today. And then just like simple breakfasts like eggs and bacon and, potatoes with onions and peppers and stuff. So in the comments, which do you want to be able to get to the Dutch oven cooking? We actually did do a Dutch oven 101 class at Academy a while back. I'll have to look up that video and share it again. It's been a while since I pulled that one out. And then during COVID, I did some camping videos in my backyard. I set up my kitchen in my backyard and did some more Dutch oven videos. So, okay, cool. I'm getting comments that all of the above. I like it all. Just the basics for me. So there's a variety of people, and that's okay, right? And it's going to depend on what kind of camping you're doing, and what you you know, some of this stuff takes time. So what are you camping for? I like to hang out sometimes and just relax at the campsite. If I have a campsite that has a really good view, I just kind of want to hang out and enjoy the view, have fun. So I don't mind, being near the smoker all day to make some really good food. But then other times, like when we're in Big Bend, we still do a lot of cooking in Big Bend and we have good food, but I prep the food before we go. So like I'll smoke the pork before we get there. And then that way we just have to reheat it, because in Big Bend, I want to do the hikes with the elevation that you're out, all day, you're away from the campsite, and then you just relax at night. So it's going to vary. And cool. Brian says, I'd like to learn to use a Dutch oven. Oh, good. I'm glad you said that, and I'm going to get back to that in just a second. Okay, are we on our own with cooking meals, or does everyone bring something to the table? Okay. I have a cast iron Dutch oven. Just need that tripod. Oh, the tripod and also the lid lifter. And when you get the lid lifter, make sure you get the 3-pronged lid lifter. Don't get the 2-pronged one, because you're eventually going to drop your lid. Okay, get the 3-pronged one. It's in my gear guide. Okay, I'm going to get back to the questions that I jumped over. Okay, cool. So lots of different aspirations in the comment section. Now, as far as, I think this is yes. Okay, so when we go camping with HTX Outdoors and Bayou City Outdoors, then we actually do it. We do all of it, right? So the camping trips that I lead are usually, I bring all of the food, and then we do a community camp cooking. So everybody helps either cook or clean. So the people who don't care about learning how to cook anything, they usually just sign up for cleanup duty. I hate cleaning, so I'm always cooking. And so then you learn, so then you can learn how to do the Dutch oven cooking. You can learn how to just cook different things. Like even some people, I have to tell people all the time, when you're cooking, just let it sit there so it can brown, like especially like vegetables and potatoes. Like when you're making breakfast in the morning, just like let the potatoes sit. The more you mix things, the more they break down, and then your food becomes mushy and stuff like that. So just camping or cooking tips in general, right? Like all cooking tips are welcome. And so you'll even just learn like little things that you can take back to your kitchen. And then, of course, when you're on the camping trips, regardless of if you want to help cook or not, then you will get more ideas on what types of things you can make while you're cooking. Okay. And then we also have some trips that are DIY where you just bring your own. Okay. So in the chat, let me know what has been the most valuable to you so far today that we've talked about. Is there anything that we discussed that you're like, oh, that's, super helpful. I'm glad I know that for the next time I go camping. Just let me know in the chat box. Okay. All right. So somebody's saying that the beginner tent not being wind, having that wind rating. So looking for that wind rating when you're buying tents. Good to know. Good to know. Getting different tips on cooking, what types of tent to get. Everything's good. Good refresher. Spots for tent camping. If I car camp, will I be close to where the other tents might be? We're going to talk a little bit more about camping near people, but that's definitely something to consider. I did touch on that, but just to expand on that a little bit more, when I'm picking a camp spot, I like to pick spots that look like that they're away from the most amount of people. Or if I'm getting more than one camp spot, a lot of times when you're booking it, you can see the picture of the camp spot. But I've been to so many of these parks that usually what I do is I go around the whole park and I make notes about all the camping spots, and then I know which ones I want based on what size group I'm bringing to the park. So if I'm bringing a small group and I just want 2 camp spots, I want to get 2 camp spots that look like they belong together. And I also make a note that it's like the border of this camp spot is really hard to see. So I don't want to get just one of these camp spots, because if somebody else rents the other one, then they're going to be all up in my business. And I like to be away from people. I like to be away from other campers when I'm camping. I mean, I like to meet people in the parks too, but I don't like when it's not clear where my camp spot starts and somebody else's stops, or whatever. You get it. Okay. The discussion about the food is great. Basic camping gear, what's a must bring. Cool. Just everybody getting lots of ideas. Awesome. Thanks so much for putting that. So, are you ready to go camping? I'm going to just go through a couple of places that we like to camp just to get you started. And then we're going to talk about how you can go camping with us, where we're going to go camping next. Pace Bend's a nice secret, quote unquote, secret park. If you haven't heard of this one, it's west of Austin. And this is a primitive park though, so there's not going to be hardly any amenities. They do have some sites that have electric and bathrooms with showers, but the better camping spots, like the view that you see right here, this was our camping spot. This is a primitive camping spot. There's no water, there's no electric, and you have to walk down the street to get to the composting toilet. But it's one of our favorite spots. You can walk down to the water. I think actually on the next slide, I put the fun pictures. You can put the rain pictures. So this is the water where we were just looking at. So you just walk right down and get into the lake from the camp spot. And it rained on us. It rained it poured down for like 30 minutes on this camping trip. But everybody, you could see, I mean, they're shielding their eyes from the downpour of rain, but everybody, it didn't stop them. They stayed in the lake having fun. You see Andrew down on the bottom left. He's just walking like nothing's going on. Shushman's pouring himself another drink of rum. That's the famous, I forget what I forget what brand of rum that became really popular on our camping trips. So look, this is what I mean when I say camping with fun people, right? Nobody's like upset that it's raining. It's gonna pass. It passed in like 30 minutes. Everybody had a great time. Okay. Cool. This is also why you don't leave your windows or your rain fly open during the day, because you never know when it might just rain for 10 minutes. Cool. Huntsville State Park is a great park that's close by. It's just like an hour and a half north of Houston. So it's a really great beginner park. And there's solitude too. You can see the picture with the dog on the top right. That's my dog Tucker. This is our campsite. Is it? The picnic table threw me off. So we're camping right on the lake. So it's beautiful. And we can put our kayaks in right from there. That campsite with the dog picture, it's on the other side of the bottom picture. So they're all grouped together. So when we did this camping trip a couple months ago, I had 6 of these sheltered areas. So we got the entire loop. So it was spring break when we camped, and we couldn't even tell it was spring break. We had so many camping sites to ourselves. So, and we were in a section of the park that's more quiet. So those are the kinds of things that I look for when I'm picking my camp spots. This is also Huntsville State Park. This is the swim area if you want to go swimming, if you're there at a time where it's warm enough. and then just the lakeside view in Huntsville State Park. So just another point of view in that same section. So again, camping is fun alone, but when you camp with fun people and sometimes know what they're doing, it's even better. So can you see yourselves relaxing and having fun on these camping trips? Like going on a camping trip and it not being that stressful situation, like trying to figure out everything all on your own. And then just relaxing. You can make it as relaxing or as active as you want with hiking and paddle boarding, or just taking a nap in a hammock, stargazing, and just having fun with people around the campfire. Okay. So as I said at the beginning of the call, if any of this resonates with you, then it's time for you to take action. So whether that is you going out and finding a place to camp on your own, and going on your own and enjoying the great outdoors and enjoying camping, or we can make it easier. And we have a camping trip that's coming up that I want to talk to you about. So if you would like to hear about camping with us, you can stay on the call, and I'm just going to take a few more minutes and go through the camping trip, or you can take all of the information that you just got and check out some of the two places I just told you about, or Lake Somerville, and see if you can get camping spot. Oh, one thing to know is that if you are already a member of Bayou City Outdoors or HTX Outdoors, you can already go sign up for this camping trip. Don't use the links that I'm going to give you now. If you're already a member, you can just sign up for the camping trip on the website, and then you get the member pricing. Okay. So just keep that in mind as I talk about this. So we are going to go to Lake Somerville, and we're going to go on May 3rd to May 5th. Lake Somerville is near Brenham, which is about an hour and a half to 2 hours northwest of Houston. And these are pictures of Lake Somerville. And what I did in this top right picture that you see, this whole section, there's about 6 or 8 campsites up here, and then that great big covered pavilion area. I rented all of this. There are some hold sites in this area. So if there's anybody else in this area, it's going to be a very slim chance that there's going to be anybody in this area besides us. So we should have this entire area to ourselves. Okay. I'm going to bring the club paddle boards on the trip. There's going to be a couple of extra kayaks that you guys can use. If you have a kayak, bring your kayak. If you have a paddleboard, bring your paddleboard. But it's an amazing spot. You can see the stars. You can see the little white speckles. I just took this with my regular cell phone. So there's a really great night sky here for how close we are to Houston. So we are going during a little meteor shower. I can't guarantee you're going to see a meteor shower because it's a meteor shower that's probably about 20 meteors per hour. So, but this is going to be a good opportunity to try to see some meteors. We went in December during a meteor shower, but the December one's a lot larger, and we saw some great meteors, even being within 2 hours of Houston. So it's a great trip to go as a beginner. Even our experienced campers go with us. I'm showing you this tent again. This is Teresa's tent. Teresa's an experienced backpacker. She leads great backpacking trips. So she does all kinds of trips when it comes to camping. So if you see any trips where Teresa's the event leader, get on it. They all sell out. Everybody wants to go on her trips. But anyway, that was just a side note. So the point being, anybody can have fun on this trip. Cool. So if you are a member, you get all of this stuff already. But when you camp with us, you don't need any gear. So all that gear we talked about, you don't need the gear because you can borrow gear from us. We have a tent that you can use. We have a ground pad that you can use. You will need to bring your own sleeping bag. We don't provide sleeping bags. So you just bring your blankets and sheets. It's going to be a little warmer, so you don't need a full-on sleeping bag. You can just bring sheets. We are bringing all of the food. We're bringing the entire kitchen. You don't need to worry about any of that. And you're going to make some fun new friends. All right. I think I talked about all of this. So this is going to be on the link that I send you, so you can see that in a second. Okay. This is not for everybody. It's not for you if you just really don't want to. I think by now, if it's not for you, you would have probably gotten off the call. But if you're going to be worried, if it does rain, if you absolutely don't want to be outside, if it does rain, it's probably not for you. If you don't want to sleep on the ground, it's probably not for you. But if you're okay being outside, now I will say, if you've never camped before, you're not really sure if you're going to like it. One of the good things about this camping trip is that it's so close to Houston. If you don't like it, you can just drive home. Right. You can drive home. It's super easy to drive home, or you can sleep in your car. Just go in your car if for whatever reason you're uncomfortable outside. We went on one camping trip where it was so cold. The temperature dropped and it was windy and cold. And so one person, she lived in Katy. And so we were about 45 minutes away from Katy. So she just drove home and came back in the morning and met us for breakfast in the morning. And she was an experienced camper. And then another person, she couldn't sleep. So she went to Denny's and had like breakfast at Denny's. There's options. And then she came back and enjoyed the rest of the camping trip. There's options. Okay. So if you don't want to be flexible with that kind of stuff, then it's probably not for you. But if you're kind of laid back and you're looking to have fun and we're going to help you figure out the things that you need to figure out when they come up, then it is for you. So we want you on the trip if you are that person. So come camp with us at Lake Somerville. What you're also going to get, we're going to give you all of our camping workbooks, our checklists, our camping food guide, our gear recommendations. Remember, members, you have access to this already. And if you don't know how to find it, just let me know and I will help you find all of that information. You're also going to get, you're going to get access to all of our Hiking 101 videos, our stand-up paddleboarding 101 video, because we are going to bring the paddle boards. So if you want to, learn how to do it or get some extra tips on how to paddleboard, you can watch that before the camping trip, so you can get that as well. And then the loaner gear, if you don't have a tent, you can borrow a tent. You can borrow a ground pad from us. Or if you already have your own gear, you just bring your own gear. And we are going to give you 3 months of BCO HTX membership included. Oops, I put bonus 2. This is bonus 4, but you get it. So you're going to get all of those things. And we didn't talk about the membership. So just real quick, for those of you, if you're not familiar with what the membership is, you're going to get access to all of the events on our calendar. So the BCO, Bayou City Outdoors, has about 40 events every month, and HTX Outdoors has about 40 events every single month as well. And they range from hiking, biking, camping, kayaking, darts. I've just put escape rooms on the calendar. We're doing pickleball. If it sounds fun, we put it on there. The difference between HTX Outdoors and Bayou City Outdoors, members get access to both clubs. Bayou City Outdoors is geared for all ages, but tends to be 40s and up. HTX Outdoors is geared for 20s and 30s. This particular camping trip is combined, so everybody's going to go together. We have a great time. We just did this recently, and the trip is, so far, it's split about 50-50, so don't worry about age. Just sign up. It's going to be fun. Okay, so we just talked about this. I think we're good to go here. All right. So the early bird pricing on this trip, if you're not a member, is $180. And that's going to give you everything that we just talked about. If you are a member, don't use the link I'm about to give you. You already just go to the calendar and get the member pricing. So If you want to camp with us, you're going to go to bit.ly. I'm going to type it into the chat /camp with us 2024. And then you're going to select either BCO or HTX. It doesn't matter for the camping trip, but that's how we're going to know which club membership to give you primary access to. Again, you get access to both the clubs. So I just want to make sure that your primary club is the one that we're giving to you. So that's the only reason why we're asking for you to click that button first. All right, with that, do you guys have any questions about the camping trip that you want to ask me? I want to camp with you, but I'm in Vegas on those dates, but some other time. Okay, that's completely fine. If you want to camp with us, tomorrow I will give you a link where you can sign up just for the membership. And not for this camping trip. That way you can jump on another camping trip with us. So if you are able to, is anybody able to go on this camping trip that's ready to go? Is anybody already signed up for this camping trip? Let me know in the chat box. If you're not signed up yet, or you have hesitation, you're not sure if you want to sign up, let me know. What are you thinking? Lake Somerville, I will be able to car camp. Yes, you will be able to car camp. Yeah, sorry. Lake Somerville is a car camping kind of experience. We have so much space. You can bring your large tents. If you need to borrow a tent, I have a tent that you can borrow. I'm bringing all the food. I'm bringing the whole kitchen. Oh, that smoked pork. We had extra smoked pork. So we're going to have smoked pork for one of our meals. And then we're going to grill up some chicken sausages. If you don't eat meat, we can accommodate that. We can accommodate vegetarian. We can accommodate gluten-free. If you don't eat pork, we can accommodate that. Just let me know if you have any food, if you're allergic to something, like sometimes people are allergic to onions or beans or whatever. If you're allergic to anything, you just let me know if you have any food restrictions, and I will adjust the menu accordingly. I've been doing this camping for big groups of people with lots of different food preferences since 2016. So it's super easy for me to know. It's super easy for me to adjust the menu. And it's actually easier for you to just tell me what your food preferences are, because otherwise, if I don't know, I'm going to make stuff and then the food doesn't get eaten. And then we have all this extra food and then you're bringing your own food and it kind of defeats the purpose and it makes me feel bad. So it's better for me to just get your food preferences. Okay, cool. Brian, I'm excited. This will be our first trip with y'all. Awesome. I'm so excited you guys are joining. It's going to be a lot of fun. I've been looking forward to this one. I went to Lake Somerville for the first time in December. That was my first time ever there. I can't believe we have not been to this park so many more times before, but it's definitely going to be a repeat trip that we do every single year because it's really great. And they closed the park down to daytime visitors. So it's just campers. So it's not going to be a crazy party anymore like it used to be, because there used to be a lot of locals that would just go in and use the lake all day. And then they would trash the park and leave their beer cans and everything. So the park decided to close it down. But now if we have a friend who wants to come hang out with us for the day, then they can come visit a camper who's in there, and then you can just come for the day. But otherwise, like, there's no more daytime visitors. Cool. So I have a question. I want to go, but I'm a little bit nervous about the weather. Can you talk a little more about the weather? Yeah. So we're reaching the end of camping season, in my opinion, in Texas, because it's going to start getting warm, right? So I think this is the last tent camping trip that we're going to put on the calendar until the fall, we'll start camping again in like October, November. Or we might leave the Houston area or the state and do another camping trip over the summer, or maybe we'll do like some RV camping. But the weather should still get cool enough at night for it to be pleasant. Now, if it is a little bit warmer at night, one thing that you can do is like mist your sheets and put a fan, get a battery operated fan that you can put inside your tent. And that's another way to stay a little bit cooler. I'm not worried about it being too cold on this trip. So if you are, just bring extra blankets. Cool. All right, guys. If you have any questions, remember, if you go to this link, you can see all of the details and you can use the link to sign up for the camping trip. Spots are limited. So make sure that if you have any questions, you are getting back to me with those questions, and I will get them answered for you as soon as possible. And like I said, tomorrow night, we're going to go into more about the membership and what the membership entails specifically. So if you have questions about the membership or you can't go on this camping trip, join us tomorrow and we'll go into detail about the membership specifically. Until then, thank you guys so much. Thank you for being so active in the chat. That's super helpful on my side since I can't see anybody and I'm just talking into this microphone. So I look forward to camping with you all in the future. Have a great night.